So start recording. So about
Okay.
basically about NFT. The thing is, a lot of people think it's just art, like probably hype or so. Like so you just mint um some set of pictures and that's it. People start buying. But it's not really like that because there are more there are I think you should mute yourself with background noises. Okay, this is better. So there are a lot of things that people don't see, that people don't talk about at all. You just see them and then you feel like, oh, you see the results and you feel like it's very easy, but it isn't. If you want to get into the NFT space, it's something people you have to do intentionally, not just because there's hype, because people are doing it. Everybody right now seems to be minting an NFT. So it looks like there are a lot of people minting NFTs, and there are not a lot of collectors who are collecting NFTs. There has to be some intentionality to it. There has to be a plan. Now, the first thing people who want to mint NFTs should understand that it's not a short-term thing. It's not I mint and then I sell, I'm out of the market. The work to sell is a lot. People don't see it. They just see the hype and that's it. For any NFT to get some sort of traction, there has to at this stage of the industry where it is at, it's not so much about utility, it's more about hype. Which one is more popular? Which NFT influencer is talking about it? Which person is, which excuse me, which platforms are tweeting about it? That's what mostly is about because a lot of the collectors in the space who buy NFTs are buying it because they feel it will feed. They want to buy it at 0 point something Earth, or maybe if you are buying NFTs on near whatever blockchain you're buying on, they want to buy it at a certain price and then they want to sell it higher. They want the floor price to increase. And for that to happen, there are a lot of things that happen on the ground that people don't know about. Some of the NFTs that get started, they make a lot of progress because of the community that are buying into them. So if you want to get into into the NFT space, you have to look at getting a community. You have to look at growing a community. That's the important thing. That's what will really make it scale. Because people get to talk about it, other person get to talk about it, and before you know, the community is increasing, people are buying. That's one aspect. The next aspect I keep talking about is utility. Even though at the moment it's not really utility that makes NFT sell now. It's basically just like, but we keep saying that utility is the future of NFTs, meaning that this hype craze will die down very soon. There's a time it will come, people would want to buy NFTs because of the utility they possess. And there are two types of utility. There's on-chain utility and then there's off-chain utility. So an example of on-chain utility is like a GameFi activity to the game. It's like the BENINGIN characters that we have that we released already. There's a game built around it. So you have the level one set of buyers, and then this guy is coming, they buy the NFTs. When the game starts, the people who have those NFTs now, who have these NFTs now, are the one who would make some sort of gains because they got the NFT before the utility was launched. Now, when the utility is launched, when the game is launched, people now there's now an actual value. There's now an actual need for that NFT because you need the characters to play in the game. And since it's a P2E game that you play to earn, there are tokens that you earn while you play the game. So there are two things you get. You get the NFT, you get to play the game, increase the rank, and then you get the tokens. So people basically mine clip tokens when they play the game. So that's the utility aspect. Now, what you want to do is buy the NFT before the utility part is launched. That's what you want to do. That's the kind of, because that's where you get the most money from. That's the guarantee that, okay, by the time utility launches, there's like secondary sales, other people get into the space and start buying. And before they do, you're already a holder. So that's what a lot of collectors look for. So it's not a thing of you just go mint, excuse me, and then you sell. So it's a lot of work. You have to develop, you have to create a community, you have to create value, you have to create utility. Now, let me just share my screen. Okay, I wrote about this in our academy. Where is it? Yeah. This is Clip NFT Academy. So let me just go to which of NFTs. Okay, this NFT for collectors. Yep, NFT for creators. So okay, good. So in this part, I talked about two types of creators. Now, I'm pretty sure you heard about this guy's NFT. What's his name? Torinales. Did you hear about Torilanes's NFT drop? Where he made, I think the sales was over $1 million or so. I think that was the sale he made from within 8 minutes or so. Now he can do that because of who he is. You know, he's popular. There are a lot of people who know he's a superstar, basically. So for creators, you have to understand the kind of creator you are. There are two types. There's mainstream artists or creators. That's these guys. Mainstream artists or creators, and then there are individual artists or creators. Individual artists or creators are people who are not really so popular. You get the normal artist who is, you know, creating his art to sell, who now wants to go on chain. You get that one. Mainstream artists are the Burna Boys, the Wizkids, the Olamides, you know, the Davidos. If these guys say they want to go into NFT, what they just need is just proper strategic planning. That's all. They need proper strategic planning and then utility. Their drops will sell out within a period of time. So because they've already built a brand, it's easy to just identify, you know. It's not the same for individual creators. Even if you're going to do a non-generative kind of drop, non-generative, I'm sorry, generative kind of drop where you use maths and codes to randomize different NFTs. Even if you're going to do that, you have to do a lot of work into branding the NFT, into publicizing it and all. There are a lot of things that go on there. So don't look at mainstream artists and think it's the same trajectory for individual artists. It really isn't. There's a lot of work, and I went further to write about some things that independent artists could do. So there is minting activity, there's utility creation. Let me close this so I don't get. There's minting, pre-minting activities, utility, post-minting, marketing, and community. This is the trajectory. Now, this same trajectory that mainstream artists take, the difference is that it's faster because they're already there. So it's easy. All they just need is somebody who's good, who understands the NFT market. So they put together a proper plan, do a very successful job, add the utility aspects to it, which gives secondary skills. A very good example of this mainstream artist creators kind of NFT is what Gary Vee did. Do you know Gary Vee? Yes, it's what Gary Vee did with VeeFriends. The utility for his NFT is his VConnect conference that he has. It's him himself. You know, people who hold his NFTs can have access to mentorship sessions with him. So that's one utility he added. He's a motivational speaker. He's an entrepreneur. You know, so you hold his NFT, you get access to him, you get access to his events, you get you get to share in his community. You get that. He's a perfect example of how mainstream artists can get into NFT, proper planning and all. So that's a very good example. What we see now most in the space, there are more independent artists than there are mainstream artists. So in the space, you get to see a lot of NFTs by artists who, in quotes, seem to be struggling in the NFT space. You would only struggle if you don't have like proper planning. So this NFT thing is not a 3 months thing. It's not a 1 day thing. It's more like a 2 years, 3 years thing. You have to add it to your, if you're an artist, you need to add it to your marketing strategy. You know, let's say you're a music artist, let's say you're an actor, whatever. If you're doing NFTs, it should not be a one-time thing. It should be something that has sustainability. So you could say, okay, if you're a music artist, people who hold your NFTs can get your merchandise. They can get access to your parties. They can get access to your excuse me, to your listening parties, probably for your new album drops and all. For shows also. So it's like having the same you in real life on chain. So it's not a one-time thing. It's not okay, let's just sell and go. No. If you do that, you just have NFTs that are just there, that are sold, and immediately when you are done, the floor price reduces, nothing increases. So it's just as if you took people's money and then you left. But when you add utility to it, you keep getting royalties from secondary sales. You find out that 2 years later, 3 years later, people are still interchanging and buying your NFTs. And when they do that, you get royalties. So that's a very important thing for people to understand about NFTs. So now that I've done on this part, I think I can take any questions if you have any.
Okay. The reason why I'm on this call is not for all of this, but I'm actually grateful you put me through this, so I actually have an understanding.
Yeah.
I also like a link to this particular website so that I could read all of this. You have really done a lot of detailed work on writing about NFTs. Now, what I am actually here for is I'm building an organization like what you are doing, and I just want to get some foundational questions answered.
Okay.
You know, like okay. So the first one is, how did you start? Did you get funding to be able to start off your project on QLink or QLIP?
Okay, it's actually called CLIP, not QLIP, but it's cool, CLIP. So we haven't still gotten funding yet. What we did was
Okay.
we had a plan. We had the ideas of how we wanted the NFTs to be in Africa. Our focus is majorly Africa. That doesn't mean that people from outside Africa won't buy, also we won't have people from outside Africa in our ecosystem. In fact, it's surprising that a lot of our supporters, people outside Africa, a lot of them that I see that actually do support people, the first people to buy our collection and all, and pitching, a lot of them outside Africa. But it's still we wanted to create it because we saw that there really wasn't any NFT platform to help push the African arts in different spaces. And also we wanted to have mainstream artists get into NFTs the right way and add utility to them. So the marketplace we were creating was a marketplace with utility, such that any NFT that is there as in that marketplace, there's a physical thing or an on-chain utility attached to it. So this was the plan. We put everything together and then we started. We still haven't gotten funding. All of the funding that we've gotten are from the community. We had the first private sale in about April 2021 when the market took a very big dip. And then we had the next one in August. Those were the private sales we had. So those private sales that we had, the monies that we raised has helped us create our MVP. This is our MVP platform. This is where people can come and mint NFTs. You get to connect your wallets, and then you mint NFTs. Now these are some NFTs that people have minted. We minted NFTs about different one of Nigerian movies, Fifth Avenue. That was like the first Nigerian movie to actually have an NFT. We also create an NFT for the past African Cup of Nations. So basically, we're just creating NFTs that have some sort of meanings. Now, what we've been able to do, all the funding that we received, that we spent, was from community, and then a grant that we received from Binance in July last year. They had the African hackathon, so we won that. We got a grant from them. So that's what we've been able to use to build these platforms, to build our community, to build the academy, and also to launch these collections. So as for funding, we haven't received it yet. So everything that we've done has just been like support from the community and support from different platforms that we see that are in the blockchain space, African blockchain space. So here's my here's my personal experience with the funding journey. There's this communication like grapevine where people say it's like African projects I looked down on, but I don't want to believe that's true. I don't believe that's true. Yes, that could be a certain certain challenge, because when we put certain companies,
certain factor, right?
Yes, the factor. We wrote to some certain VCs. We wrote to incubator hubs that wanted to incubate different blockchain projects in Africa. It wasn't really there. We're still getting DMs on a daily, okay, let me say on a weekly basis. Yes, not daily, on a weekly basis. We still get DMs, we still get people contact us, you know, to want to do something with QLIP, but somehow some of them have not come to light yet. So I know that the trajectory might be different for you when you get into it, but just understand that funding is not a one-time thing. It doesn't happen immediately. That's one aspect of it. There's the other aspect of it where you can decide to do an IDO, and IDOs are not free. When we see different projects that, oh, they're doing an IDO and then they raise 200 BNB, 1,000 BNB, you know, some of them as high as 2,000 BNB. When you see those IDO projects, there are things that go under. You know, you have to have a budget of, let's say, put together a budget of like maybe $10,000 to $20,000 to effectively do marketing if you want to get funding. Because the truth is, funding is not free. It isn't. A lot of the IDO projects that people do, it's not free. You just don't go to meet them and then they say, okay, let's do your IDO. You have to have had some seed round. Some certain big investors or VCs have to have invested with you, you know, and then you now go to do the IDO for the public so you can release the token and add liquidity to it on the debts that you want to work with. So understand that funding isn't free and it isn't a one-time thing. We, in the course of trying to get funding, we thought to ourselves, instead of, you know, just pursuing the funding, why don't you just use what we have to create some of the things that we already have ready, some of the things that we want to build. And that's how we thought about the MVP, the academy, and then the collectibles. And now we're building the game also. So it sells from the collectibles, we get into the game. So the funding hasn't come, but work has been going on. You get. So you have to understand that it's not a one-time thing. So don't put your activity such that, oh, we get funding, then we do this. No, it might not go that way. You have to also look at a way to do something without, you know, all the full money coming your way. So that's my experience basically in the funding aspect.
All right, that's good. Thank you for all this information. The second question I have to ask is, your platform, is it a primary market or is it a secondary market, or is it both?
Okay. Let me explain that. I talked about non-generative arts. Let me just go there to explain something. I talked about non-generative arts. To have primary market and secondary market, you have to have collections, first of all, that are pre-minted. What we did with BENINGIN collectibles right now, these things are minted. They were done manually, so they're already here. At this stage of the collection, it's primary markets, because what you are having is level 1 investors, level 1 buyers, NFT holders, people who are holding the NFTs first. Not a lot of people have bought yet, so we're still doing marketing. Anybody who is coming now is entering the primary market level. Secondary market level is like the level 2 holders, where there's a resale. Say, for example, I buy this NFT. Well, we have 490. Yes, we have, it's 490. I don't know why it's having 491 here. We have 490 collections. 6 people have gotten the NFTs. We've not really started a proper marketing activity yet. So 6 people have gotten these NFTs. By the time all of these 490 gets bought, the next set of buyers that are coming in, that are coming to buy, are the secondary markets. That's for this level of collection, where you are just minting everything at once on OpenSea. There's no pre-minting activity. For pre-minting activities, that's where you now have people who pre-minted are like the primary, excuse me, are like the primary buyers. And then when you now when those people who have pre-minted start selling, that's not secondary markets. It's the same thing when you look at projects and artists, basically. If an artist is releasing their collective, we say right now, like Beeple usually does. If you follow Beeple's what's happening? Okay. If you follow Beeple's collection drop, because of who he is, you know, the primary market and secondary market are very fast. So people buy immediately from centralized platforms. If he releases them on centralized platforms, people buy on all those platforms. You know, they pre-mint and then they go and sell it on OpenSea. So OpenSea now becomes the secondary market. So it's not really about the platform, it's about the collection. That's the point I'm trying to make right now. So the primary or secondary about the platform.
So what I'm trying to understand actually is, can somebody mint on your platform? That is, somebody, an artist now comes to your platform and has a collection, maybe uploads a collection for other people to come and mint and pay the gas fees and all of that and to own it. Okay. Is it possible on your platform?
For that aspect, it's not. That's generative art. Right now, generative art is not yet possible on our platform. Generative art is not yet possible. So what you can have is non-generative. That means the art has to be created manually, and then you have to mint it manually. That's the thing. At the moment, these are the NFTs that people have minted on our platform. Yeah, this is one I was telling you about the AFCON NFTs where Nigeria featured. So these are NFTs that people have minted. So it is basically non-generative at the moment. We don't have the generative feature yet, where what happens with generative feature is you basically have a defined structure. Like I have it here. You have a defined structure, and then different things are now randomized. So it could be the accessories of the NFT are randomized, and those things are done with codes. There are softwares that do that. There are also developers that do that, and they range from between $1,000 to I think the highest I've seen a developer charge is $10,000. But these things, they work both ways. So you have certain persons create the defined structure for the NFT, and then you have the different accessories randomized. They are created already. So the code, the developer or the platform that you're using, because there are some platforms you can just use to bring out the generative arts. What they now do is randomize each of those things. So probably the eyes, the color of the eyes, scarf, hearts, whatever. Those are the things that happen there. But on our platform at the moment, what is available is non-generative art. So artists have to have created the art and then manually mint it. So it's like a one by one kind of process.
Right, that was very, very explanatory. Okay, I don't think I have at the moment. I understand what I've picked from this session is the generative and non-generative art, the process of getting funding and how difficult it could be. Focus on actually building stuff. I think I'll take that. This recording, is it possible for me to get that too? Because I would like to listen to this again.
Is that fine?
Yes, it's very fine. Very fine. All right.
Join our community.
If I have any, I don't have your link. I am on that Boundless Pay community. So if you send me a link to your community, I will join it.
I'll do that. I'll send it to you. If I turn on Telegram, a lot of. I'll send it to you.
I stopped hearing you at some point.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
One last thing. You're going to launch. Don't start. Don't do anything. I said if you're going to launch your platform, don't do anything. Because attract a lot of people who are not. We did that thing and it affected us because we got a lot of bots who joined our Telegram and a lot of bots who joined our Twitter, and they caused some trouble for us for a while. We had to take our time to remove the bots. So don't start that every. You want real people who are interested in NFTs. Actually, you just don't want followers, you want quality. So you want real people. Airdrops tend to attract people who are not interested, who just want the token, and that's all. So the community, people who are interested, you guys go for it. Then at a certain period, you can now, when it's time, when you feel like it's the right time, you can now do an airdrop activity for your token, and scale your community from that level. That's one more piece of advice.
Thank you. I think I just remembered something that I didn't ask. I don't know if you're out of time, but it has to do with your coin and your native token. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have not yet done a launch on on a centralized platform. So is your token available to people at the moment to actually acquire?
It's at the moment. The only people who have the tokens are people who bought our private sales. So we will actually do an airdrop after we launch our platform. For example, right now, a lot of the accounts that I hear, people who have minted NFTs on this beta version are going to get airdrops later on. So we're going to make the airdrops more meaningful for people who have NFTs on our platform. So the plan is, okay, we make the sales on BENINGIN Collectibles, and then as soon as we're launching the GameFi aspect, we add liquidity for CLIP tokens on PancakeSwap, because on BSC network, and also on Matic, because we're going to do some sort of bridge to Matic and add liquidity there also. So that's the plan. So at the moment,
interestingly, I was just about to ask you the network you're on, and you just said BSC and Matic.
so we're cross-chain NFT platform. So right now we're looking at EVM compatibility. So as we grow, access NFT, basically other EVM compatible chains also. So we also do bridging of NFTs and all, so people can interact with our platform and chains.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Hopefully we can still have more sessions like this in the future, and I can actually contribute in my own little way on how to help your community grow. So thank you so much for that.
All right. Bye. Thanks.
All right.